Alright, we are live, ladies and germs, and kind of getting used to the new OBS layout here. God damn it, cat. Because we just recently had an update for OBS update 28, and the layout and everything is just kind of, well, the way it looks is a lot different. Still a same basic setup, but it's a hell of a lot different than what it used to be. But it seems to be working fine, so there's that. Alright, sounds like everything's in order. Just checking the sound and everything. So, orange one, what are you doing, cat? Seriously. This cat. But anywho, we're going to be getting into the, well, the race today at Kansas, because my review is probably going to be a bit controversial, to say the least. But let's get into it. This is the fuel. Yeah, it definitely seems like the transitions are a little wonky right now. But, cat, go lay down! Go lay down. Anyways, what's happening, ladies and germs? This is the Packer Man, and welcome to tonight's edition of The Fuel. Where tonight we're going to be reviewing the, fucking garbage that was the 2022, Hollywood Casino 400 at the Kansas Speedway, which was the 28th race of the 2022 season. There's a lot to talk about, lots of news stories, and a race that was pretty, in my opinion. But just want to say thank you for everybody who's going to tune in and watch this race. Might not be right money, but you know, who fucking cares. But we're going to get into things. So before we get into everything, we're going to go to news of the week. And I mean, it's not very much news in terms of the quantity, but holy shit, this was a big news week. So let's get into it. Alright, give 1 second here. Alright, so we're going to start out as we usually do with the viewership of the previous race, which was the Southern 500. And it pulled 2.341 million viewers on the USA Network. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever to not put this on the main channel. I mean, it's one of the crown jewel races of the fucking year. I mean, why not put it on your big channel NBC? Makes no goddamn sense. And it obviously suffered as a result. Last year, it was down 4.8% compared to last year, which was at 2.458 million viewers on NBCSN. So despite the fact that, you know, you had an upset winner and more playoff implications, there was less people who watched the Southern 500 this year than last year. So there you go. But next up, Denny Hamlin is looking at potential shoulder surgery after 2022. I guess he's been having some shoulder issues, some of which might be stemming from his wreck at Daytona. And it's not the first time he's had to have surgery. I mean, he had to have ACL surgery on both of his knees at certain points because of him playing basketball and outside activities and all that other shit. So, that's not really a surprise, and he's going to be looking at it after 2022, so wouldn't be the first time that he's had to have surgery. But we have a couple more headlines, and these ones basically stole all the headlines. First of all, Kyle Busch potentially to RCR in 2023. There are sources that have been telling all the beat reporters that Kyle Busch may be landing at Richard Childress Racing for 2023, which is ironic considering the fact that 11 years ago he and Richard Childress got into a scuffle over Kyle Busch's driving style. So that's going to be pretty damn interesting to say the least. But apparently there's supposed to be an announcement Tuesday, so we'll find out for sure once Tuesday rolls around. I gotta say, if Kyle Busch does go to RCR, I mean, what the fuck is Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing doing? Like, you couldn't work out a deal of some sort to at least keep him there for another year? To at least try to find some sponsorship for the 18 car? Like, are you fucking serious? So, there will be an announcement this coming Tuesday, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But something tells me that he will be going to Richard Childress in 2023 if, you know, all the sources are true in that regard. But this next headline, though, in my opinion, is the biggest headline of the entire year. And certainly one of my favorites because, oh my God, when I saw this and I saw the official announcement, oh my God, I had a huge smile on my face. Like, I just couldn't believe it. North Wilkesboro is hosting the 2023 All-Star Race. Are you fucking serious? This is awesome! You know, and I know I've been, you know, having some low morale over the last week in regards to NASCAR because of some of the dumb shit that I've been seeing and also the safety concerns and all that other shit. But seeing this announcement and seeing that North Wilkesboro Speedway will host the 2023 All-Star Race, oh my God, the ultimate irony, because Texas Motor Speedway took one of North Wilkesboro's dates all those years ago, and now, almost 3 decades later, North Wilkesboro takes the All-Star Race from the Texas Motor Speedway. That is poetic fucking justice. And the reason why this all came about is because they were initially going to tear up the racing surface and put dirt down for dirt racing next month and then repave the surface afterwards. But there were a lot of rave reviews about how good the racing was when the late model series and modifieds and all that other shit were there over the past couple weeks. And the racing apparently was so good that, you know, management at North Wilkesboro was like, wait a minute. Maybe we should just keep this surface and see if we can do something big next year. And that ended up being North Wilkesboro getting the All-Star Race for 2023. Oh my God. And as a result of this, the North Carolina legislature has added an additional $4 million in addition to the $18 million that they granted to the Speedway. They're adding another $4 million for additional improvements. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of work to be done. They got to get, you know, buildings up because all the old ones had to be torn down and shit. Grandstands, you know, safer barriers have to be put in as well. You know, and all that good stuff. The racing surface itself is going to be remaining as it is, at least for the time being, because of just how good the on-track product was. So, that'll stay. But, suites and all that other shit, that's got to all be rebuilt. And they got basically 8 months to get it done. So, will they be able to get it done in time for the All-Star race? I hope so, because this is a big deal. This is a big deal because that entire area, Wilkes County, North Wilkesboro, I mean, it just, financially, they just have never recovered from NASCAR leaving. And now you have North Wilkesboro getting the All-Star race. And not only that, it also comes into question, will Trucks and Xfinity be there to support the All-Star race next year? That would be a big deal. Because then you have all three of your top series at North Wilkesboro. For the first time in almost 3 decades. A track that was left for dead back in 1996 has now been successfully resurrected. It is unbelievable. And I know I said on multiple occasions earlier this year, especially after the All-Star race, we need to go to North Wilkesboro. And I even pitched out an idea. I can't exactly remember what review it was, but I know I mentioned it at some point, where I said, hey, maybe, we should take the All-Star race to North Wilkesboro, see what happens. And it's actually fucking happening. Like, it's one of the best announcements I've heard in recent memory, and without a doubt the top news story of 2023 is North Wilkesboro, after almost 3 decades, coming back to the Cup Series schedule. It's not a points event, but the All-Star race, boy, if you want an opportunity to rebuild the legacy and the prestige of the All-Star race, this is the fucking way to do it. So I am so happy to see that North Wilkesboro is officially coming back. Big fucking deal. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this race review. Because let's just be completely real here. This race was a pile of shit. It was the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas, our 154th edition of the Fuel. Title of this episode, We Are in Kansas, and it's a mess. This race was a fucking mess. Like, holy shit. I mean, you want to talk about, a race that had a lot of potential, especially with all the wackiness of the one we saw back in May. And this one just did not have that same feeling whatsoever. Like, this race was fucking garbage. And what makes it even worse is the fact that it's a quote-unquote playoff race. So, you have all the stakes going on. Yeah, the playoff guys all had troubles as per the usual, but I mean, you need more than that to make it a good race. You need good on-track action, and for the most part, we just didn't really see that outside of the restarts, which we always see. But once things get spread out, is it still any good? And outside of a couple of points during this race, not really. Not to mention the fact that Goodyear tires were once again fucking garbage. And don't even give me this fucking shit about teams not having air pressure high enough. No, fuck that shit. I'm done giving Goodyear the benefit of the doubt. I've already said that multiple times this year. We need to start holding this fucking company accountable for their shit tires. It's happened far too fucking often over the past 20 years to say, well, it's on the teams. No, fuck that shit. Goodyear needs to bring good tires, and more often than not, they bring shit. Absolute fucking dog shit. And it cannot and should not be tolerated. That's my feeling on that shit. As far as the race is concerned, like I said, this was just a pile of shit. Tyler Reddick started from the pole, but outside of that, he led some laps, but he went out of the race with a flat tire and smacking the wall. Alex Bowman led a lot of laps, led 107 laps. He actually picked up the first pure lead change in lap 3. Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott were going backwards at the start of this race, so it wasn't a good start for them. Stenhouse was actually moving forward and had a good car in this race. He was plus 14 on lap 9. There was a caution on lap 26, which was a competition caution because there was rain the previous night, which caused the Xfinity race to be called early because of rain, which gave Noah Gragson the win. Hamlin was penalized for equipment interference. There was a lot of pit road penalties in this race too. Hamlin had to go to the rear for pit equipment interference. Briscoe and Truex was caught speeding and had to go to the rear. And Austin Dillon, Suarez, and Busch also had equipment interference penalties during this race. And Truex also had to come back in for a loose wheel at one point. So Reddick led on the restart. Then we had our second caution on lap 33 when Kevin Harvick got loose and pounced the wall on turn 4 after Bubba Wallace and Ross Chastain slapped in front of him while they were racing for position. And I saw that there were quite a few people that were blaming Chastain, even though there was no fucking contact between the 1 and the fucking 4. I mean, the 45 and 1 came up in front of the 4 and the 4 got loose. But yeah, they were saying, oh, Harvick got Chastain. Shut the fuck up. Jesus fucking Christ. I am so sick and tired of that fucking shit. Like, if Chastain made a mistake, then I will gladly call him out on it, which I've done in the past. But this is not one of them fucking cases. So shut the fuck up about that shit. God fucking damn, I am sick to fucking death of people making excuses about, what happens on the track and whether or not Chastain is involved in it. Grow a fucking brain, people. Sick and fucking tired of that shit. Anyway, Reddick led on the restart. Truex scraped the wall off turn 2. Blaney started challenging Reddick for the race lead, but then we get our third caution on lap 65 when Reddick loses his right rear tire while leading. So Austin leads on the restart after a 2-tire pit stop. Bell got to the lead on the restart and would win stage number 1. Then after pit stops, McDowell, who I think stayed out, leads the start of stage 2. Then Truex takes the lead down the backstretch of a lap or 2 later for our second pure lead change on lap 88. And then we had our fourth caution on lap 89 when Ty Gibbs noses into the wall in turn 2 after also losing a rear tire. LaJoie was also kind of involved in that one, although that wasn't of his own doing. Truex leads on the restart. Stenhouse gets up to second. Kyle Busch was up to the top 5 on lap 100. And then we had our fifth caution on lap 110 when Stenhouse loses a right rear tire while running second. And at that point, I just said, fuck Goodyear. Then we had the penalties I was talking about earlier with Austin Dillon, Suarez, and Busch being penalized for equipment interference. So William Byron leads on the restart this time. And then we immediately get our sixth caution on lap 115 when Eric Almirola let Harrison Burton and Corey LaJoie make contact as they try to avoid the 6 of Keselowski after it gets door checked by Hamlin. Eric Jones also involved as he kind of tried to get in between Burton and LaJoie, and they all made contact, and that was pretty much it for a lot of drivers there. And at this point, I'm just like, what a fucking mess this is. Byron leads on the restart. Bowman gets the lead on the restart, though. We had 3 wide for third between Logano, Briscoe, and Elliott. An intense battle for 6th between Cindric, Larson, and Bell. Logano gets by Byron for second. Then we had our 7th caution on lap 137 when Kyle Busch spins off turn 4. Bear in mind, we're still in stage 2. Bowman leads on the restart, and this is when things picked up finally. We had lots of 3 wide on the restart, and we had a battle royal for 4th between the 9 of Chase Elliott, the 45 of Bubba Wallace, the 22 of Joey Logano, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, the 12 of Ryan Blaney, and the 5 of Kyle Larson. So if you're counting at home, that's 6 cars fighting for the 4th position. So there was some pretty good racing. Bell starts closing in on Bowman for the race lead, but was ultimately not able to catch him, and Bowman wins stage number 2. And the beginning of stage 3 was also pretty good. So the end of stage 2 and the beginning of stage 3 was basically the best portion of this entire race. Bowman leads the start of stage 3. There was 3 wide on the restart once again. There was hard racing for second between Byron, Wallace, Larson, Logano, and Bell. Wallace starts closing in on Bowman from the race lead after it gets up to second and is able to pass Bowman for a third pure lead change on lap 200. Bell moves up to second, and that's pretty much all she wrote as far as the race for the lead is concerned. Truex kicks off green flag stops on lap 215. Logano tries to play the long game, but finally pits with 42 laps to go. Wallace cycles back to the lead. Bell, who was in second at the time, starts to slowly eat into Wallace's lead with 30 laps to go. It had been 4 seconds after pit stops, but he had chopped it down to 2 seconds. But Hamlin gets by Bell for second and was 1.4 seconds back with 5 laps to go, but is unable to catch up with his car, basically. And Bubba Wallace holds off Hamlin to win the Hollywood Casino 400, his second career win. And not only that, the 45 car actually swept the Kansas races this year. The last time, with 2 different drivers, might I add. Kurt Busch won the race in May, and then Bubba Wallace wins the race here today. The last time that happened was all the way back in 1972. The 21 of the Wood brothers was the last team to do it, when AJ Foyt won the Daytona 500, and then David Pearson won the Firecracker 400 later that year. So pretty crazy. Shout out to Jonathan Field, okay, for basically finding that out. Well, he tweeted it out, and he was the first one I saw that had that stat. Because I kind of realized, well, the 45 swept both races with 2 different drivers. Had that ever happened before? And he actually found it. So hats off to Jonathan Field for finding that out. The 21 car for the Wood brothers did it in 1972, 50 years ago. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, other than that, this race was a fucking wash. I mean, it was not good whatsoever. Like, I mean, the end of stage 2 and the beginning of stage 3 was the best part of the race, but once Bubba Wallace took the lead and checked out, that was pretty much all she wrote. And, you know, the first 2/3 of this race was a fucking mess. I mean, we had 7 cautions in the first 2 stages. Ironically enough, stage 3 went caution free, and it was the longest fucking stage of the entire race. So, I mean, holy shit there. But, yeah, this was just not a good race. I mean, second race in a row in the playoffs, that was absolute shit. Of course, the Darlington Southern 500 race last week was fucking overrated to hell. Apparently, it's now the new #1 race as far as the Jeff Cluck poll is concerned for 2022, which I think is absolutely fucking dumb. Because that race is not as good as y'all think it is. Maybe if y'all had a critical fucking mind and 2 brain cells to rub together, you'd fucking realize that. Anyways, stats and results. I mean, I've already got it up. Who gives a fuck? I forgot that I had it up, but it doesn't really matter. 267 laps. Stages were 80, 85, and 112. There were 16 overall late changes, only 3 of which were pure. So low numbers once again. 7 cautions. And we had 3,029 green flag passes, which averages out to 13.5 on average, which I guess is pretty good. But when you have a shit ton of restarts like we did today, I mean, it does inflate the number a little bit. I mean, if we had a lot of green flag passes but not a whole lot of caution flags, then, you know, I'd give it a little more credit there. Alex Bowman led the most laps today, 107 laps, and that's why I'm giving him the star of the race. I mean, he's been pretty much ice cold for a large majority of this season, but he's actually kind of started to show up in the playoffs. I think he finished 10th last week in the Southern 500, led the most laps today, and ended up with a 4th place finish, so not bad for Alex Bowman. So he's my star of the race. Reject of the race, obviously, is Goodyear. I mean, I've already said enough how fucking dumb Goodyear is with their tires, so that's how I feel about that. Alright, race results and point standings. This Bubba Wallace with the win, led 58 laps on the day. Denny Hamlin comes home in 2nd, right behind the car that he owns. You have Christopher Bell coming home in 3rd, who actually becomes the first driver to clinch a spot in the round of 12 based on points. Nobody's locked in based on wins. The first 2 races of this playoff run have been won by non-playoff drivers. That shows you how fucking crazy the parity has been this year. In fact, we have 18 winners through 28 races, which is the most all-time. The most all-time for an entire season for different winners is 19, set back in 2001. Now, considering the fact that Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. still haven't won yet, there's a good chance that we could see that record broken this year. Yeah. Alex Bowman came home in 4th, 107 laps led. Martin Truex Jr. in 5th, William Byron in 6th. Ross Chastain finally gets back in the top 10 in 7th, Kyle Larson in 8th, Ryan Blaney 9th, and Daniel Suarez rounds out the top 10. So here's how the points look with 1 race remaining in the round of 16. Christopher Bell, like I said, has clinched a spot in the round of 12 based on points. And you have William Byron in P2, so he's been ice cold for much of the season, but is showing up when it counts. Then you have Denny Hamlin at plus 47, Joey Logano at plus 40, Ryan Blaney at plus 36. Alex Bowman, another driver, has been ice cold at plus 30. Then you have Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Ross Chastain in pretty good position to make it to the round of 12. Then you have the guys that are kind of in the danger zone. Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick, and Austin Cindric are still in the good, but their margin over the cutoff line is in single digits. And you have Kyle Busch at -2, Austin Dillon at -3, Chase Briscoe at -9, and Kevin Harvick at -35 after 2 bad races in a row. In fact, he's had 3 DNFs in a row, which is actually the first time in his career that's actually happened. Yeah, and he's been a full-time Cup driver since 2001. So wrap your head around that shit. And we got Bristol this coming Saturday night. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that one because the Bristol night race usually delivers a fucking banger. So NASCAR Standings with F1 Points Truck Series was this week and had their cutoff race. So here you go. John Hunter Nemechek gained maximum points this week, won the pole, led the most laps, won both stages, won the race. Can't get much better than that. Carson Hocevar came close to his first win, which would have advanced him in, finished second, and actually ended up 3 points short. So he's out of the playoff. But then you look at the F1 standings, you look at John Hunter Nemechek at 337. Zane Smith drops to second. He had a huge point lead, but has gone a little bit cold, and John Hunter Nemechek has heated up recently. So Zane Smith now trails Nemechek by 8. Then you have Chandler Smith, Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes, Christian Eckes, Carson Hocevar, Stuart Friesen, and Grant Enfinger, all of which are above the red drivers, and those in red are mathematically eliminated from championship contention, at least in the F1 style points. But all the playoff contenders that are left are still eligible for the F1 championship style shit. And you look at the Xfinity side of things, and there's still like 8 races left, and yet there's only 12 drivers that are still mathematically eligible. But when you have the top 4 drivers scoring shit tons of points each and every week, I mean, the top 4 are at 400 points. So, I mean, it's just been absolutely crazy. And then you look at Noah Gragson, who's the leader, back-to-back race wins, and he's now the point leader despite the fact that he has a point penalty from Road America. So he's the point leader despite the point penalty. So that shows you how good Gragson has been this year. He won the race yesterday, which was rain shortened. Ty Gibbs and Justin Allgaier both gained a bunch of points, but still fall behind a little bit. A.J. Allmendinger was the point leader, drops to 4th, and is now 27 points behind Gragson. Yeah, Josh Berry is 5th at 329, and then the rest of the drivers still eligible: Austin Hill, Sam Mayer, Brandon Jones, who also scored a boatload of points today, Riley Herbst, Daniel Hemrick, Trevor Bayne, and Sheldon Creed. Everybody from 13th on down is mathematically eliminated. Then you have the Cup side of things, which you see everybody in the top 20 still has a mathematical shot at it, but see Chase Elliott didn't really gain a whole lot of points today. Neither did Ross Chastain. They actually equaled out on points. You have Kyle Larson 3rd, Joey Logano in 4th. Christopher Bell scored quite a few points. He scored the 2nd most points of the day and jumps up to the top 5 in points, which makes sense. Then you have Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex Jr. rounding out the top 10. And the rest of the top 20 is William Byron, Kevin Harvick, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace, who jumps up to 15th with his win, Kurt Busch, Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones, and Austin Dillon, all of which are still mathematically eligible at this point to still compete for the championship, as far as the F1 side of things is. As for my final rating, hey Bryce, I'm just doing a review here, but my final rating for the Hollywood Casino 400, I mean, this race was fucking trash. I mean, the first half of this race was a fucking shit fest. Too many fucking cautions, blown tires, and all other shit. The end of stage 2 and the beginning of stage 3 were pretty good, but then once Bubba Wallace took the lead, that was pretty much all she wrote, and it was just a bore fest from there on out. So, my final rating for the Hollywood Casino 400, best I can give it is a 3. This was just not a good race whatsoever. And yet another shit race in this playoff run, starting to feel like 2019 and 2020 all over again. 2019 in particular was bad, and this is starting to have that feel to it, which is not good. Hopefully Bristol this coming Saturday night will give us the tonic we need to get out of this shit fest, because the Bristol night race usually gives us a banger. And a lot of the spare parts guys are going to be there, so hopefully, if they're able to and willing to, I'd like to have them on the review next Sunday. Kind of get their side of things as far as, you know, what the experience was there at Bristol, and what they thought of the race itself and all that good shit. But we'll see. But that's going to do it for tonight's edition of The Field. This was just not a good race this week. It wasn't. But, you know, at least there wasn't really any controversial bullshit other than maybe Goodyear being shit, but that's par for the course at this point. So, hopefully Bristol will be a good one and get us out of this funk we're in. But thank you very much for watching tonight's edition of The Fuel, and until next time, this is the Packer Man signing out. See you later. Thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to like and subscribe, you jackweeds.